Well, not knowing if anybody would be interested, but this is how I execute my work on the Torah text. This is the digital text that I copied in letter by letter with a space between each letter. There are no final forms of the letters. These are all the common forms, the plain inter-word forms as they were. I have it indexed as plate 33 of the 67 by 67 grid, and it goes from letter 147691 to letter 152179, and that's Leviticus 524 to Leviticus 825. And some of the extraneous notes, I did these before I did the final versions for the book. But as you can see, pardon me, in this version that I've got here, this is my master copy. This is the mapping, aligned with the rows across the top. I number them by pencil down the side so that I know excuse me, what row I am in. Pardon me, I got a rough throat. And what I do is I find the center line and count out from the center line. Wherever at the same point letters match, such as these two lameds, they get circled. On the first line, excuse me, it's here at 18 or 17 and 30. And I do that with each line all the way through the grid. Having done this, and having done a complete scroll of this before, in the second edition of this is about the probably the third time I've gone through the mapping, or fourth or fifth, I'm not too sure. I don't know how many times I've mapped it and remapped it and gone through and edited it. But I do know that I've got my edit down pretty close to what I can confirm as is there, and having a corrected text. Going from this, I copy each line in pencil X's on a grid, mapped on a desktop quadrille, indexed with row numbers on the side, on the bottom, and on the top. Oops, my camera went out of focus there on me. And then of course, after I'm done with all of that, I copy each line, like I said, line by line, at the proper point onto this paper with pencil. Then I outline it in black marker. I'm using a different type of marker today, and it blotches on me a bit, which is really bad for photography. But what I basically do is then go ahead, I outline these because it helps when I use the broad marker to prevent bleed into the paper beyond the borders, as long as my eyes can keep up with these print-proof blue lines, which is what that blue is called. It's non-repro blue. But pretty much this is what I've done with all the 67 grids. This is a remake of grid 33 because grid 33, 34, and 35 need to be mapped individually and photographed individually, I should say. I only have them in a group because they comprise the sun and the angel of judgment. But I thought I'd give you guys a little video as to what it is I've been doing with this mapping and how I've been discovering image sets within the Torah. This is how I've been doing it. And this is my 19th year. I keep saying I'm going to publish, I'm going to publish, I'm going to publish, and the problem is that every time I go to publish, I get things darn near completed, and something new comes to light. And it's not something simple, it's usually something important. But mainly it's within the image set and the realization of what those images refer to. You see, in order for the images to even be recognized as images, they have to make sense. And I can prove in a logical sequence sense within this image set. Not only do I have a set of the zodiac, but I also have a set to represent the Torah, which is actually the ancient way of keeping the images of the secret extant in the memories of the Jews. However, over time, by the time the Torah got put down to an actual image set from tradition, it came from an oral tradition. I'm convinced of that. And the reason I'm convinced of that is because the image set that we have in the modern day Torah does not match the Torah within the Torah. That is to say, the images are there, the elements are there, but in the modern day Torah, the elements are out of place. And many are overwritten one another, and the thing is that though that is a fairly complete set of images from the Torah, it is by not any stretch of the imagination even near to the full complement of images that I've been able to glean out of this text. We have images that involve cosmology, images that involve Egyptian gods and goddesses, images that involve plants, images that involve animals. Almost every grid you will find at least one animal depicted in some way. And usually it's a face on profile, and more often than not, though, there are two side profiles to either side that can be sometimes gleaned out among or parsed out, I should say, among the images. Not in everyone, but in a lot of them. Then come the matters of finding glyph-like images and constellations. For some time now, I've wanted to find myself software that could handle calendric operations going back to, say, like 15,000 BCE. That is to say, 17,000 years ago, or 20,000 years ago. The reason I want something like that is because I believe that I can demonstrate that I know recognizable constellations, but that they all match to a date much earlier than the date of the creation of the Torah. There are also cognates in images, such as the great white-haired one that is spoken of in the book of concealment, which I didn't realize I was looking at for so many years. And it's just an amazing document. But anyway, I got carried away here got almost 10 minutes of video, and I was meaning to only give you 5. Anyway, this particular plate is the sun. Down in here we have the city with the wall gates and the tower or the mountain behind. It's actually, when you construct it, a step pyramid. It's very amazing. Ooh, sorry. So anyway, more on this later. This is just a video, just a little something to give you a picture of what I was doing. Thank you.